Eunice Foote, born on July 17, 1819, in Goshen, Connecticut, was an American scientist, inventor, and women's rights advocate whose pioneering work in climate science laid the groundwork for understanding the greenhouse effect. Growing up in a time when educational opportunities for women were limited, Foote was fortunate to attend the Troy Female Seminary in New York. Students at the seminary were encouraged to take science classes at the nearby Rensselaer School, which was supervised by Amos Eaton, a senior professor and supporter of women's education. Instead of relying solely on memorization, Eaton's novel approaches featured lectures on scientific theory coupled with hands-on laboratory experiments. Foote's curiosity and scientific mind led her to conduct experiments that would significantly impact our understanding of atmospheric science. In 1856, she undertook experiments that revealed the warming effect of the sun's rays on different gases. By placing thermometers in glass cylinders filled with various gases and exposing them to sunlight, she observed that cylinders filled with carbon dioxide became significantly warmer than those with regular air or other gases. This experiment demonstrated that CO2 has a high capacity for absorbing heat. She was the first scientist to establish that some gases warm up when they come into contact with sunshine, which meant that growing carbon dioxide levels may change the climate by raising atmospheric temperature. This phenomenon is now known as the greenhouse effect. Foote's findings were presented in a paper titled Circumstances Affecting the Heat of the Sun's Rays at the 1856 meeting of the American Association for the Advancement of Science. Due to the gender norms of the time, her paper was read by Professor Joseph Henry of the Smithsonian Institution rather than by Foote herself. Despite the significance of her discovery, it did not receive the attention it deserved, possibly because of her gender and the era's societal norms. In addition to her groundbreaking work in climate science, Foote was an inventor who held patents for various innovations, including improvements to the paper-making process and a rubber shoe sole. Her inventive spirit reflected her keen interest in practical applications of scientific knowledge. Foote was also deeply involved in the women's rights movement. She attended the Seneca Falls Convention in 1848, the first women's rights convention, where she signed the Declaration of Sentiments, a document advocating for women's suffrage and equality. Her activism in the women's rights movement highlighted her commitment to social progress and equality, paralleling her contributions to scientific discovery. Eunice Foote's life and work exemplify the intersection of scientific inquiry and social activism. Her early experiments with greenhouse gases were groundbreaking, and her involvement in the women's rights movement demonstrated her dedication to advancing both scientific understanding and social equality. Today, she is celebrated as a trailblazer whose contributions to climate science are finally receiving the recognition they deserve.